All right, welcome. We are going to go ahead and look at using our TI84 to calculate some of the topics found in Chapter 3. So this will work with any of your TI84 calculators as well as the TI83 calculators. However, this will not be applicable to TI Inspires or TI89s. Or any other calculators. So here we go, TI84, TI83, Chapter 3 calculator info. So here's what we'll talk about. We'll talk about entering data into a list, finding the summary statistics from that data, creating a histogram, and creating a box plot. So all of these things you should know how to use your calculator for on the AP test. All right, so here's the example we're going to work through. In 2007, the Council of Europe published a report entitled The European School Survey Project on Alcohol and Other Drugs. Among other issues, the survey investigated the percentages of 16-year-olds who had used marijuana. Shown on the next page are the results for 34 European countries. Create an appropriate graph of these data and describe the distribution. So we're going to use this data here of percentage of 16-year-olds who use marijuana in each of these European countries. And then we're going to find the summary statistics. We're going to create a histogram, and we're going to create a box plot using that data. So first things first, we need to be able to enter this data into a list. So take a look at your calculator. Turn your calculator on. We are going to start by pushing the Stat button and then selecting Edit. So you can see our lists get pulled up here. If there's data already in a list, go ahead and push the up arrow to highlight the list and then press Clear and Enter. So up arrow, Clear, Enter, and that should clear your list. Once the list is empty, you can add your data to the list, and once everything is entered, you can push Second, Quit, and your data will be saved under that list. So looking back at our data, I'm going to go ahead and enter this data into my list. So 3, enter, 17, 24, 22. All right, I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to when I have all of the data entered into my list. All right, so I have all of my data entered into my list here. You should see that you have 34 data points. So once you've entered all of that data into your list, you can press Second Quit, and that data will be stored in that list. Okay, so we've entered our data into a list. Now we are going to find the summary statistics of that data. So we are going to go ahead and push Stat, and then arrow to the right to the Calc menu. And under the Calc menu, we are going to select the first option there, which is one variable stats. We're going to press Enter. And there are some different options you can choose depending on your calculator, but just make sure you are in the appropriate list. And then you can press Calculate, and you should see a couple of different things pop up here. And as you look at this screen, you have our X bar, that's our mean. We have the sum of our x's, the sum of our x's squared, the standard deviation, S sub x. We have something that is the population standard deviation, which we're not going to worry about right now. We have n, our total number of values. And then if you arrow down, you'll see the minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum, so our 5-number summary. And that is our summary statistics. So most notably, we're going to be concerned about the mean, our x bar, the standard deviation, S sub x, and then the 5-number summary. All right, So let's take a look at using this data to create a histogram. So to create a histogram, we're going to go ahead and push second stat plot. So second and then stat plot is up in the top left-hand corner. And you can see all of our plots will get pulled up. We're going to make sure we're going to go into plot number 1. And we're going to make sure plot number 1 is selected to on. We're going to change the type of plot to a histogram. So we're going to select histogram, and then we're going to make sure we are in our appropriate list. So if you need to change your list, you can press second list, and it will bring up your different lists here, and just make sure you choose the one that has your data in it. And then you'll leave frequency as 1. And now, before we graph this histogram, we just need to adjust the window. And the window is kind of the range of values that you can see on your graph. So if we go to our window, and we're thinking about, what our possible x values are, that would be our percentages. So we know our percentages will go from 0, maybe up to 100. The x scale, that's your bin size. So whatever your bin size that you want, we're going to go by 5s here. And then the y min and the y max, that is your possible frequencies. So we know the lowest frequency we can have is 0, and the highest, maybe we'll set that at 10 and see what it looks like. So once we've adjusted our window a little bit, we're going to go to Graph, which is in the top right-hand corner. We're going to click Graph, and we can see our histogram here in our graph. If you can't see your histogram, again, double check that your plot is turned to on, and then double check that your window is set to an appropriate settings. So you can see here, we have about half of the screen is taken up by our histogram, but then half of our screen is blank. So we can actually adjust in our window. Instead of going from 0 to 100, maybe we go from 0 to 50. And now you can see that our graph takes up the full window, and we can have a better understanding of what's going on there. So there's our histogram. One last thing with the histogram, if you press trace, so trace up here in the right-hand corner next to graph, then you can arrow across your bars and see what each bar represents. So this is going to be the easiest way if you're on the AP test and you're asked to create a histogram. You're most likely going to put it in your calculator and then simply copy that histogram onto your piece of paper. Okay, so there's a histogram. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to create a box plot. All right, box plot, very similar to creating a histogram. We're going to press second stat plot again, and we're going to go back into plot 1. Again, we're going to make sure plot 1 is turned on, but we're going to change our type of plot from histogram to box plot with outliers. And then again, make sure you're in your correct list, and you can leave frequency and mark. You don't need to adjust those. And so now if we go to graph, we can see our box plot now instead of a histogram. And again, if you can't see a box plot, you might need to adjust your window. Our window already has an appropriate settings from our histogram, but if you needed to, you could adjust your window and change some different things so you can see your box plot more clearly. And again, you can press that same trace button, and it will highlight the important features of this box plot. So your minimum, your Q1, your median, your Q3, and your maximum. And again, that makes it very easy to take this box plot and copy it down onto a piece of paper. All right, so that is our calculator information for Chapter 3. So again, you should be able to enter data into a list, and then you should be able to take that data, find the summary statistics, create a histogram of that data, and create a box plot of that data.